She waited at the airport gates, refusing to leave even after the final call. When passengers saw what was written on her worn-out sign, the bustling terminal fell silent. Sarah's purple dress rustled against the cold plastic seat in JFK Airport's Terminal 4. Her feet, wrapped in shiny black shoes with silver buckles, dangled inches above the floor. The handmade sign in her lap read, "Welcome home, Mom," in careful letters decorated with glitter that still hadn't dried completely, leaving sparkles on her fingers. The terminal's air conditioning made her shiver. 6:45 a.m. glowed on the large display board above, alongside her mother's flight number, DL-479 from Port-au-Prince. Status delayed. 2 more hours, Sarah whispered to herself, running her fingers over the beads in her braids. They clicked softly, a sound that usually calmed her, but now just reminded her of 3 months ago, when her mom had done her hair the morning she left. That morning played in her mind again. Her mother's hands working quickly but gently, weaving in the colorful beads while explaining about the nursing program in Haiti. "It's only 3 months, baby," her mom had said, tying off another braid. "I'll be back before you know it. And Aunt Jasmine will take good care of you. Promise you'll call every day," Sarah had asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "Every single day, I can get a signal." Her mom had kissed the top of her head. "And when I come back, I'll have a better job. No more night shifts. We'll get our own place. Just you and me." A loud announcement jerked Sarah back to the present. "Attention passengers. Flight DL-479 from Port-au-Prince has been delayed due to air traffic control. New estimated arrival time is 8:45 a.m. We apologize for any inconvenience." Sarah's stomach tightened. She reached for her phone, an old model her mom had given her for emergencies, and checked the battery. 62%. She should call Aunt Jasmine, let her know about the delay. But Aunt Jasmine had the early shift at the diner today. She'd rushed out at 5 a.m., helping Sarah pin her dress straight before leaving. "You sure you don't want me to call in sick?" Aunt Jasmine had asked, already knowing the answer. "I'm okay," Sarah had insisted. "Mom's flight gets in at 6:45. I can handle it." Now Sarah watched other families reuniting around her. A soldier hugged his crying wife. 2 teenage girls squealed and ran to embrace their grandparents. A businessman lifted his toddler's son high in the air, spinning him around while his wife filmed on her phone. A security guard walked past, his shoes squeaking on the polished floor. He slowed, looking at Sarah sitting alone, then continued his patrol. Sarah sat up straighter, trying to look like she belonged there. Her phone buzzed. For a moment, her heart leaped, thinking it might be her mom, but it was just a low battery warning. 61% now. She should have charged it more at Aunt Jasmine's, but she'd been too excited to sleep, too worried she'd miss her alarm. More passengers streamed through the arrival gates. Sarah stood each time, holding up her sign, scanning faces. None of them were her mother. None of them even looked like they'd come from her mom's flight. A young woman in an airport coffee shop uniform approached, carrying a paper cup. "Hot chocolate," she said, holding it out to Sarah. "On the house. You look like you could use it." "Thank you," Sarah said quietly, accepting the warm cup. The woman's name tag read Jenny. "Waiting for someone?" Jenny asked, glancing at Sarah's sign. Sarah nodded. "My mom. She's been in Haiti. She's a nurse." "That's wonderful," Jenny smiled. "I'm sure she'll be here soon." But as Jenny walked away, Sarah heard her talking to another employee. "Just sitting there alone? Should we tell security?" Sarah gripped her sign tighter. She wasn't going anywhere. Not until her mom came through those gates. She remembered the last video call they'd managed just a week ago. The connection had been terrible, her mom's face pixelated and freezing every few seconds. "I miss you so much, baby," her mom had said through the static. "One more week. Just one more week, and I'll be home." "I miss you too," Sarah had whispered, but the call had already dropped. Now she watched the arrival board change again. Flight DL-479, delayed, 8:45 a.m. Sarah pulled her knees up to her chest, careful not to wrinkle her dress. The terminal's air conditioning hummed overhead, and somewhere in the distance, a baby started crying. The security guard passed by again, walking slower this time. Sarah pretended to be busy with her phone, though the screen was black to save battery. 58% now. She'd need it when her mom's flight finally landed. If she closed her eyes, she could almost smell her mom's shea buttercream, could almost feel her arms around her. But when she opened them, she was still alone in the terminal, holding a glitter-covered sign, watching strangers reunite with their loved ones while she waited. And waited. And waited. The hot chocolate had gone cold. Sarah stared at the untouched cup, watching a thin skin form on top of the liquid. 9:15 a.m. blinked on the arrival board. Flight DL 479. Delayed. Further information pending. This is a courtesy announcement for all passengers awaiting flight DL 479 from Port-au-Prince. Due to extended air traffic control delays, we are awaiting updated arrival information. We apologize for any inconvenience. The terminal had grown more crowded. Business travelers rushed past with rolling suitcases, while families clustered around the arrival gates. Sarah's legs had started to cramp from sitting in the same position, but she didn't dare leave her spot. What if her mom came through right when she stepped away? Jenny from the coffee shop passed by again, this time with a paper bag. Banana muffin, she said, placing it next to the cold hot chocolate. You should eat something, honey. Sarah's stomach growled, reminding her she'd skipped breakfast in her rush to get to the airport. Thank you, she managed but didn't reach for the bag. Your mom's flight's the one from Haiti, right? Jenny asked, glancing at the arrival board. When Sarah nodded, she continued, my manager called the airline desk. They said there's some problem with the runway in Port-au-Prince. But they're working on it. A problem with the runway. Sarah's chest tightened. She thought about the news reports she'd seen about Haiti. Earthquakes, storms, poverty. Her mom had tried to shield her from the worst of it during their video calls, but Sarah had heard Aunt Jasmine watching the news late at night. Her phone buzzed again. 45% battery. She should have brought her charger, but in her excitement this morning, she'd left it plugged in by Aunt Jasmine's couch. The couch that had been her bed for the past 3 months, with her suitcase of clothes tucked underneath like a secret. The security guard, a tall man with gray at his temples, made another pass. This time he stopped. Everything okay here, miss? He asked, his voice gentle but official. Sarah nodded, clutching her sign closer. I'm waiting for my mom. Flight DL 479. Been here a while, haven't you? He glanced at his watch. Is there someone we can call for you? My aunt's at work, Sarah said quickly. She knows I'm here. My mom's coming home from Haiti. She's a nurse. The guard's face softened slightly. What's your name? Sarah. I'm Officer Davis. He tapped his badge. I'll be around if you need anything, okay? Sarah nodded again, relief flooding through her as he walked away. But she heard him speaking into his radio. Yeah, got a minor in Terminal 4, been here since early morning. Might need to keep an eye on the situation. A group of passengers emerged from the arrival gates, and Sarah jumped up, her sign held high. Their tired faces and rumpled clothes matched what she'd expect from a long flight from Haiti, but none of them was her mother. Excuse me, she called to a woman in a red sweater. Were you on the flight from Port-au-Prince? The woman shook her head. Santo Domingo. Sorry, honey. Sarah sank back into her seat. Her braids clicked against each other as she leaned forward, resting her forehead on her knees. The beads were coming loose in one braid. She could feel it unraveling. Mom would fix it when she got here. Mom would fix everything. Should have been here hours ago, a man's voice carried from the airline desk. What do you mean you don't know what's happening in Port-au-Prince? Sarah's head snapped up. The man at the desk wore a suit, but his tie was loose and his collar rumpled. His voice kept rising. Unacceptable. I have connecting flights to catch. He slapped his hand on the counter. The airline employee spoke in a practiced, calm voice. Sir, I understand your frustration. We're doing everything we can to get updated information. Well, try harder. There are people waiting. Sarah watched the man storm off, her heart pounding. She pulled out her phone again, fingers hovering over her mom's international number. She'd tried it twice already this morning, straight to voicemail both times. 40% battery now. A family with 3 small children settled into the seats across from her. The youngest, a boy about 4, stared at Sarah's sign. What's that say? He asked, pointing. Tommy, don't point, his mother scolded. Sorry, she added to Sarah. Are you here alone? Before Sarah could answer, Jenny appeared again, as if summoned by the question. She's fine, Ginny said firmly. I'm keeping an eye on her. More hot chocolate. This last part was directed at Sarah. Sarah shook her head. No, thank you. Her voice came out smaller than she intended. The mother gave her a worried look, but turned back to her children. Sarah could still feel her glancing over every few minutes. The terminal lights seemed brighter now, harsher. They made Sarah's eyes hurt. Or maybe that was from trying not to cry. She blinked hard, focusing on the arrival board again. Flight DL-479. Status update pending. Her mom's voice echoed in her memory. Be brave, baby. Sometimes being brave means waiting a little longer than you thought you'd have to. She'd said that the night before she left, when Sarah couldn't sleep. They'd sat on Sarah's bed back when she had a bed in their old apartment, and her mom had held her close. Will you be scared? Sarah had asked. In Haiti? Sometimes her mom had admitted. But being brave doesn't mean you're never scared. It means you keep going anyway. Now, Sarah straightened her dress again, smoothed the wrinkles from her sign. The glitter left sparkly smudges on her palms, her stomach growled louder, and she finally reached for the banana muffin. The first bite stuck in her throat, but she made herself swallow. Be brave. Keep going anyway. Officer Davis walked by again, talking into his radio. Been over 4 hours now. Yes, same kid. No sign of the parent yet. Should we? Sarah pretended not to hear. She took another bite of muffin, even though it tasted like cardboard in her mouth. The arrival board flickered, and for a moment her heart stopped, but nothing changed. Still pending. Still waiting. Still alone. The afternoon sun slanted through Terminal 4's high windows, casting long shadows across the floor. Sarah's phone read 2:13 p.m. Battery, 28%. Flight DL-479 status hadn't changed in hours. Young lady, a new voice, sharp and official. Sarah looked up to find a woman in an airline uniform standing over her. Not Ginny from the coffee shop. This woman's badge said, Terminal Supervisor. I need you to come with me to our office. Sarah's fingers tightened around her sign. I can't. My mom's coming. We've been monitoring you for several hours now. The supervisor's lips pressed into a thin line. It's not appropriate for a minor to be alone in the terminal this long. We need to contact your guardian. My aunt knows I'm here, Sarah said, the words rushing out. She's at work. My mom's flight is just delayed. She's coming from Haiti. Officer Davis appeared beside the supervisor. This is the girl I radioed about, he said quietly, like Sarah couldn't hear him. Been here since before my shift started. Sweetie, the supervisor tried again, her voice softer now. There are no more scheduled arrivals from Port-au-Prince today. We need to figure this out. Sarah's chest went tight. No more arrivals? That couldn't be right. But the board still shows my mom's flight. DL-479. Look. She pointed up at the display, where the flight number still glowed, stuck in eternal status update pending. There's been a situation at the Port-au-Prince airport, the supervisor explained. We don't have details yet, but no. Sarah's voice came out louder than she meant it to. Several nearby passengers turned to look. My mom promised she'd be here today. She promised. The supervisor and Officer Davis exchanged glances. Sarah recognized that look, adults deciding what to do with her, just like when her mom first told her about going to Haiti, just like when they moved in with Aunt Jasmine. I'm not leaving, Sarah said firmly, though her voice shook. Not until my mom comes. A small crowd had gathered now, watching. Sarah heard whispers. Poor thing. And someone should call social services. And where's the mother? Her phone buzzed. Text message from Aunt Jasmine. Baby girl, you okay? Need me to come? Sarah's fingers trembled as she typed. I'm okay. Still waiting. Don't leave work. She couldn't make Aunt Jasmine lose another shift because of her. They needed the money, especially with the rent due next week. The supervisor pulled Officer Davis aside, but Sarah caught pieces of their conversation. Policy for unaccompanied minors. And have to call it in. And can't just leave her here. The terminal felt too big suddenly, too bright, too cold. Sarah's chest hurt with each breath. She wanted to run, but where would she go? Mom had promised to come home today. She'd promised. Ginny appeared with a sandwich and a bottle of water. On the house again, she said, glaring at the supervisor. She's fine right here where I can see her. Ma'am, this isn't a daycare center, the the supervisor started, but Jenny cut her off. She's not causing any trouble. She's just waiting for her mother. Have a heart. Sarah's vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. The sandwich sat untouched next to the cold hot chocolate and half-eaten muffin. Her stomach had stopped growling hours ago, replaced by a hollow ache that had nothing to do with hunger. More passengers rushed past, arriving, departing, reuniting, saying goodbye. Sarah's sign was wrinkled now, the glitter mostly rubbed off on her dress and hands. She remembered making it last night, sitting on Aunt Jasmine's living room floor, carefully drawing each letter. Your mama's gonna love it, Aunt Jasmine had said, bringing Sarah more glitter. She's gonna cry when she sees it. Happy tears, Sarah had said firmly, like when she got accepted to the Haiti program. Now different tears pressed behind her eyes. Her phone buzzed again. 15% battery. The screen showed a photo of her and Mom from last Christmas, before everything changed. Before the layoffs at Mom's hospital, before they had to leave their apartment, before Haiti became more than just a place on a map. The supervisor returned with a clipboard. Sarah, honey, I need some information. Your full name? Sarah Louise Williams. Her voice cracked on her last name. Your mother's name? Angela Marie Williams. Emergency contact? My Aunt Jasmine. Jasmine Taylor. She knows I'm here, Sarah repeated, like a shield. We'll need to verify that. The supervisor wrote something down. And your address? Sarah hesitated. Their old apartment? Aunt Jasmine's place? Where would they live when Mom came back? Before she could answer, a new announcement crackled overhead. Attention passengers. This is the final boarding call for flight AA-186 to Miami. All passengers should proceed immediately to gate C4. The sun had shifted again, throwing different shadows. Sarah's legs ached from sitting so long, and her new shoes pinched her toes. She hadn't meant to scuff them, but there was a mark on the left one now. Mom had saved 3 weeks of night shift pay to buy these shoes. Just a little longer, Sarah whispered to herself, her mom's words from countless bedtime phone calls. Just a little longer, and we'll be together again. Officer Davis touched his radio. Yes, still here. Situation unchanged. Kids still waiting. Supervisor wants to call social services. Sarah's heart pounded so hard it hurt. Social services. She'd heard those words before, whispered between Mom and Aunt Jasmine late at night, when they thought she was asleep. The terminal lights flickered once, twice. Outside, the sky had started to darken. How many hours had she been here? Sarah couldn't remember anymore. Everything blurred together. The announcements, the faces, the footsteps, the waiting. Always the waiting. Her sign slipped from her fingers, landing face down on the floor. When she picked it up, some of the letters had smudged. But it didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered except staying here, keeping her promise to wait, holding on to hope even as it slipped through her fingers like the leftover glitter on her dress. The supervisor was still talking, Officer Davis was still watching, Jenny was still bringing unwanted food, and somewhere, Mom was trying to get home. She had to be, right? The cleaning crew had started their evening rounds. Their vacuum cleaners hummed against the terminal's floor, working around Sarah's feet. 7:45 p.m. glowed on her phone screen. Battery, 9%. Last warning, the supervisor said, standing over Sarah again. Either you come with me to the office, or I'm calling social services right now. Sarah lifted her chin. My mom taught me not to go anywhere with strangers. I'm not a stranger. I'm an airport official. You're a stranger with a badge, Sarah said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. My mom's coming. I'm staying right here. The supervisor pulled out her phone. Sarah heard her dialing, speaking in clipped tones. Yes, we have an unaccompanied minor, approximately 9 years old. Been here since early morning, no guardian present. The vacuum cleaner's drone got closer. An old man with gray hair pushed it, wearing a navy blue maintenance uniform. He worked slowly around Sarah's seat, then stopped. Mihija, he said softly, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a sandwich wrapped in plastic. For my lunch. You should eat. Sarah started to shake her head, but her stomach growled loudly. The old man smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. I have granddaughter your age. Please, eat. She took the sandwich. Thank you. I'm Miguel, he said, leaning on his vacuum. You wait for someone special, yes? My mom. She's a nurse. In Haiti? Miguel nodded. Ah, the delayed flight. Very bad storms there today. Many flights canceled. Sarah's heart jumped. Storms? Is everyone okay? CSI. Just rain. But airports, they're very careful with rain. He patted her shoulder. Your mama, she will come. You have faith, yes? Before Sarah could answer, Officer Davis returned with another man in a darker uniform. The new officer's badge read Airport Police. Sarah Williams? The police officer asked, though he clearly knew who she was. I'm Officer Chun. We need to talk about finding you somewhere safe to wait. I am safe here, Sarah insisted. Jenny for the coffee shop checks on me. And Officer Davis. And now Miguel. She gestured to the janitor, who straightened up. The Nina is no trouble, Miguel said. Let her wait. Officer Chun shook his head. It's not about trouble. It's about regulations. We can't have an unaccompanied minor in the terminal indefinitely. I'm not unaccompanied, Sarah said. My mom's coming. Your mother's flight has been delayed for over 12 hours, Officer Chun said. We have no confirmation of when she's coming, Sarah repeated, louder this time. Her voice echoed slightly in the emptying terminal. The sandwich felt heavy in her lap. She unwrapped it slowly, taking a small bite. Tuna fish. The same kind Mom used to pack in her school lunches, before Haiti, before everything changed. Her phone buzzed one last time. 1% battery. The screen went black mid-buzz. Sarah stared at her reflection in the dark glass. Her braids messy now, some beads missing, her eyes tired but determined. What's your aunt's number? The supervisor asked. We'll call her to pick you up. Sarah pressed her lips together. She wouldn't give them Aunt Jasmine's number. Aunt Jasmine would have to come, would probably lose her job for leaving another shift early. And then where would they live? The lights in one section of the terminal clicked off. Sarah jumped at the sudden darkness. Just the shop's closing, Miguel said quickly. Terminal stays open all night. Officer Chin crouched down to Sarah's eye level. Listen, Sarah, I understand you're worried about your mom, but sitting here isn't helping anyone. Let us take you somewhere safe. I am safe, Sarah repeated. My mom always says, if you're lost, stay where you are. Don't go anywhere with anyone. She swallowed hard. I'm not lost. I'm waiting. More lights went out as shops closed their gates. The McDonald's across the way pulled down its metal shutters. The bookstore's lights dimmed. Only the coffee shop stayed bright, Jenny wiping counters while keeping an eye on the situation. The vacuum cleaner started up again as Miguel moved to another section. Its steady drone almost covered the whispered conversation between the officers and supervisor. Can't just leave her here. Social services won't come until morning. Parent technically abandoned. No proof of abandonment. Could be trafficking. Medical emergency. In Haiti, maybe. Sarah ate the sandwich in tiny bites, making it last. The bread was a little squashed, but it tasted like kindness. Like Miguel's granddaughter's lunch. Like Mom's careful packing of school lunches in their old kitchen. A new sound echoed through the terminal. Wheels on tile. The late-night cleaning team rolled out their big floor polisher. Sarah watched them work, the machine turning dirty floor tiles into shining mirrors. Her scuffed shoes reflected in the newly polished floor. Sarah, Officer Davis was back, alone this time. It's almost 8 o'clock. You've been here 14 hours. I know how to tell time, Sarah said. She hadn't meant it to sound sharp, but exhaustion made her words crisp. Your mom would want you to be safe. My mom taught me to be strong, Sarah countered. To never give up. To keep my promises. She straightened her wrinkled dress. I promised to wait right here. She promised to come home today. Sometimes promises get delayed, Officer Davis said gently. Delayed isn't broken, Sarah shot back. Mom never breaks her promises. Never. The floor polisher whirred closer. Sarah pulled her feet up onto the seat, hugging her knees. Her sign was properly wrinkled now, the glitter mostly gone, but the words still clear. Welcome home, Mom. Jenny emerged from the coffee shop, carrying her coat. My shift's over, she said softly. The night crew knows about you. They'll keep an eye out. Sarah nodded. Thank you for the hot chocolate. And the muffin. You're welcome, honey. Jenny hesitated. You sure you won't come with the officers? Just until Dash, I'm sure. Sarah's voice was small but firm. The terminal settled into its nighttime rhythm. Fewer announcements, fewer passengers, more cleaning crews, more security patrols. Sarah watched it all through heavy eyes, fighting sleep. She wouldn't sleep, couldn't sleep. What if Mom came while she was sleeping? Officer Chen spoke quietly into his radio. Situation unchanged. Subject refusing assistance. Continuing observation. Subject. But she was a problem to be solved. Sarah wasn't a problem. She was just a daughter waiting for her mother. The floor polisher's reflection caught the terminal's lights, creating patterns on the ceiling. Sarah followed them with her eyes, remembering the night light in her old room, how it had made star patterns above her bed. Just a little longer, she whispered to herself. Just a little longer, Mom. I'm right here. I'm waiting. I promise I'm waiting. The terminal's automatic doors whooshed open and closed. More passengers trickled in for late-night flights. Sarah watched each face, held up her sign for each arrival gate opening. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. But soon. It had to be soon, right? The terminal clock showed 11:23 p.m. Sarah's dead phone sat heavy in her dress pocket. The night crew had taken over. Different uniforms, different faces, same concerned looks. Here, a new voice. An older woman in a bright pink tracksuit set a phone charger on the seat next to Sarah. I always carry a spare. Can't have you missing your mama's call. Sarah's fingers trembled as she plugged in her phone. The screen lit up slowly, the battery icon red and angry. Thank you. I'm Martha, the woman said, settling into the seat beside Sarah. My flight to Chicago's delayed 3 hours, and honey, I was about to lose my mind. Then I saw you sitting here, calm as can be. Sarah's phone vibrated with delayed messages. 6 from Aunt Jasmine. Baby girl, you okay? Should I come get you? Sarah, please answer. The airport called me. I told them you're waiting for Angela. I'm coming as soon as my shift ends. My aunt's coming. Sarah said quietly, more to herself than Martha. That's good, isn't it? Martha asked. Sarah shook her head. She'll make me leave. But Mom's coming. I know she is. Martha was quiet for a moment, watching Sarah's face. How long you been waiting, child? Since morning. Sarah checked her phone. 11:26 p.m. now. 16 hours, 23 minutes. Lord have mercy. Martha dug in her large purse, pulling out a pack of cookies. When's the last time you ate? Miguel gave me a sandwich. He's the janitor. The night cleaning crew worked steadily around them, their machines humming in the distance. The new coffee shop worker, not Jenny, kept glancing their way. The night security guard, not Officer Davis, walked past every 15 minutes exactly. Tell me about your mama, Martha said, opening the cookies. Sarah took one automatically. She's a nurse. She went to Haiti to help train other nurses. She was supposed to be gone 3 months. Sarah's voice caught. Today's 3 months. And you're sure she's coming today? She promised. Sarah broke the cookie into tiny pieces, but didn't eat them. Mom never breaks her promises. Ever. A new announcement echoed through the terminal. Attention passengers. The airport terminal food courts are now closed. Limited vending services remain available near gates A3 and B7. Martha's phone rang, a loud gospel song ringtone. That's my daughter, she said, answering. Hey, baby. Yes, still delayed. No, you don't need to come get me. Actually, I'm sitting here with a new friend. Sarah tuned out the conversation, watching her phone charge. 6% now. No messages from Mom, but that was normal. The international plan only worked for emergencies. The night security guard approached again. His badge read Officer Thompson. Miss, he said to Martha, we've been trying to resolve this situation all day. Martha covered her phone. Seems to me the situation is a child waiting for her mama. Nothing to resolve there. Ma'am, she's been here over 16 hours. We have protocols, Dash. You have a heart? Martha asked sharply. Because this child's got more faith in her little finger than most folks got in their whole body. She believes her mama's coming. And honey, I believe her. Officer Thompson shifted uncomfortably. Social services will be here in the morning, Dash. Then come back in the morning. Martha cut him off. Right now, me and Sarah are sharing cookies and waiting for our people. That's all. Sarah's phone buzzed again. Another message from Aunt Jasmine, almost done with shift. Coming straight there. The cookie crumbs fell from Sarah's fingers onto her purple dress. Mom had bought her that dress special before leaving. You'll grow into it, she'd said, smoothing the fabric. And when I come back, we'll take a proper picture. You in your purple dress, me in my white nurse's uniform. Our new beginning. Young lady. A new voice. Sarah looked up to see an older man in a pilot's uniform. I just finished my rotation. Boston to Miami. He glanced at her sign. Waiting for someone from Haiti? Sarah nodded. I heard about the situation there. Heavy storms, but they're passing. He smiled kindly. Flights should resume soon. You're sure? Sarah's voice cracked. Weather's unpredictable, but storms don't last forever. He touched his captain's hat. Keep the faith, young lady. Martha squeezed Sarah's hand as the pilot walked away. See? Even the sky's going to clear for your mama. More messages from Aunt Jasmine. Leaving work now, 30 minutes away. Hold on, baby girl. Sarah's body felt heavy, her eyes burning with exhaustion. But she couldn't sleep. Wouldn't sleep. My grandbaby's your age, Martha said softly. She's got those same braids. Who did yours? Mom. Before she left. Sarah touched the loose beads. She said they'd last the whole time she was gone. She did good work. Martha reached out slowly. Want me to fix the loose ones? Sarah hesitated, then nodded. Martha's fingers moved gently through her hair, securing the beads, straightening the braids. My mama used to say patience is more than waiting, Martha said as she worked. It's believing. And baby girl, you got more belief than anybody I've ever seen. The terminal lights hummed overhead. Sarah's phone showed 15% battery now. Still no word from Mom, but that was okay. She was coming. She had to be coming. Officer Thompson walked past again, but this time he just nodded. Your aunt's coming to get you? Martha asked, finishing the last braid. Yes. Sarah's voice was small. But I can't leave. I promised to wait right here. Sometimes the hardest part of keeping one promise is breaking another. Martha's voice was gentle. But you've kept this one all day. Nobody can say you didn't wait. But what if Mom comes right after I leave? What if she's looking for me, and I'm not here? What if Martha pulled a tissue from her purse as tears finally spilled down Sarah's cheeks. Your mama will find you. Mamas always find their babies. The terminal doors whooshed open again. Sarah lifted her sign automatically, but it wasn't Mom. Just more late-night travelers, more cleaning crews, more security patrols. I'm scared, Sarah whispered, so quiet only Martha could hear. Course you are, baby. But you're brave too. Braver than most grown folks I know. Sarah's phone lit up, 5 minutes away. Love you, baby girl. Martha squeezed her hand again. Your aunt's almost here. Want me to wait with you? Sarah nodded, not trusting her voice. Then we'll wait together, Martha said firmly. Sometimes faith is stronger when it's shared. The terminal clock clicked forward. 11:47 p.m. 17 hours of waiting. 17 hours of hoping. 17 hours of believing. But now, finally, Sarah wasn't waiting alone. Aunt Jasmine's work shoes clicked against the terminal floor, getting closer and closer. Sarah gripped her sign tighter, the edges crumpling under her fingers. Baby girl! Aunt Jasmine's voice cracked as she ran the last few steps. She wore her diner uniform, coffee stains on the apron, hair falling loose from its bun. Oh, Sarah! She dropped to her knees in front of Sarah's chair, hands hovering like she wanted to grab her, but wasn't sure she should. I came as soon as I could. Had to finish the dinner rush. She's been good company, Martha said, standing slowly. A real testament to her mama's raising. Aunt Jasmine looked up, noticing Martha for the first time. Thank you for staying with her. I'm Jasmine Taylor, her aunt. Martha Washington. And don't you dare make a joke about the name. Martha smiled kindly. This child's something special. The night security guard approached again. Miss Taylor? We spoke on the phone. Officer Thompson. Yes. Aunt Jasmine stood, brushing off her knees. I'm so sorry about all this. I should have Don't apologize. Martha cut in. Ain't nothing to be sorry for. Child's just waiting for her mama. Sarah's phone buzzed. Everyone froze, but it was just another delayed message from hours ago. Praying for you, baby girl, Sarah. Aunt Jasmine crouched down again. Baby, it's midnight. You've been here 18 hours. We need to go home. I can't. Sarah's voice came out thick. Mom's coming. I promised to wait right here. Angela would want you to rest, Aunt Jasmine said softly. She want you safe at home. This is DL 479's gate, Sarah insisted. She'll look for me here. Officer Thompson cleared his throat. Ma'am, about the flight dash, I know. Aunt Jasmine's voice was sharp. The storms in Haiti. The runway problems, the delayed flights. I know. Sarah's head snapped up. You know what happened? Aunt Jasmine hesitated. Baby, there's been bad weather. Really bad. They had to close the airport in Port-au-Prince. But it'll open again, Sarah said quickly. The pilot said storms don't last forever. Right? The pilot said dash, Sarah. Aunt Jasmine took her hands. Baby, listen. Your mom's flight. It never took off. The words hit like a physical blow. Sarah's chest went tight. What? The airport's closed. No flights out until the storms pass. Could be days. Days? The word felt strange in Sarah's mouth. But she promised. Today. She promised today. I know, baby. I know she did. Aunt Jasmine's eyes were wet. Sometimes things happen that we can't control. Even when we make promises. Sarah pulled her hands away. No. Mom said she'd be here. She always keeps her promises. Always. Child, Martha said gently, your mama didn't break her promise. The weather did, but... Sarah's voice cracked. But I've been waiting. All day. I've been right here, just like I promised. I didn't move. I didn't leave. I waited. And you did so good, Aunt Jasmine whispered. So good, baby girl. Your mama would be so proud. The tears came in, hot and fast. Sarah tried to brush them away, but they kept falling. I made the sign. I wore the purple dress. I fixed my braids. I did everything right. Oh, baby. Aunt Jasmine reached for her, and this time Sarah fell in her arms, sign dropping forgotten to the floor. I want Mom. Sarah sobbed into Aunt Jasmine's shoulder. I just want Mom. Martha's tissue appeared again, dabbing at Sarah's face. Officer Thompson turned away, pretending to check something on his radio. The night cleaning crew worked quieter, giving them space. I know it hurts, Aunt Jasmine murmured, rocking slightly. I know, baby. I know. Sarah's phone lay dark on the seat. 20% battery, but it didn't matter now. No calls would come tonight. What if? Sarah hiccuped through her tears. What if she can't get another flight? What if the storms don't stop? What if Dash... Aunt Jasmine stroked her hair. One thing at a time. Right now, we need to get you home. Get you some real food, some sleep. I don't want to sleep on the couch, Sarah whispered. I want my bed. I want my room. I want Mom. Martha touched Sarah's shoulder. You've been so strong all day, child. Let yourself rest now. Your mama will find you, wherever you are. But this spot... Sarah looked at her chair, at the sign on the floor. I promised to wait right here. And you did, Aunt Jasmine said firmly. 18 hours, baby girl. You did everything you could. Officer Thompson stepped forward. We can leave a message at the information desk. If your mother arrives, they'll know exactly where to find you. See? Martha smiled gently. They'll tell your mama you waited all day. Tell her how brave you were. Sarah's legs shook as she stood. How long had it been since she'd moved? The terminal swayed slightly, or maybe that was just exhaustion. My sign, she said suddenly, reaching for it. I've got it. Aunt Jasmine picked it up carefully, smoothing the wrinkles. We'll keep it safe. For when she comes. When, Sarah repeated. Not if. When? That's right, baby. When? Aunt Jasmine wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Your mama's coming home. Just not today. Martha hugged them both. You take care now. And Sarah. She pressed something into Sarah's hand, the packet of cookies. For the ride home, Officer Thompson led them to the information desk, where a tired-looking woman took down all their information. We'll call as soon as we hear anything about Flight DL 479, she promised. Sarah's shoes scuffed against the floor as they walked toward the exit. Everything felt heavy. Her dress, her braids, her heart. The terminal doors whooshed open. Cold night air hit Sarah's face, making her realize she'd been inside all day. Had it only been one day? It felt like a lifetime. Wait. Sarah stopped, turning back to look at her chair, her spot, her promise. Just one more minute? Aunt Jasmine squeezed her shoulder. One more minute. Sarah stared down the long terminal corridor. Somewhere thousands of miles away, Mom was probably staring down a similar corridor, trying to get home. I waited, Sarah whispered, like a prayer. I really waited, and you'll keep waiting, Aunt Jasmine said softly. Just from home now, where your mama can find you safe and sound. The terminal lights buzzed overhead. The cleaning crews moved steadily through their routine. The night shift coffee shop worker wiped down counters. Officer Thompson spoke quietly into his radio. Life went on, but Sarah's world had stopped at 6:45 a.m. when the first delay was announced. Now at 12:23 a.m., it started turning again, slower, heavier, but turning. Ready? Aunt Jasmine asked. Sarah took one last look at her waiting spot. 18 hours of hope, of faith, of promises kept and broken by forces nobody could control. Ready, she whispered, even though she wasn't. The terminal doors whooshed closed behind them. In her pocket, her phone buzzed one final time. Another delayed message from hours ago. I love you, baby girl. Never forget that. Sarah didn't need to check to know who it was from. Some messages, like some promises, found their way home eventually, even if they took a little longer than expected. Sarah woke to sunlight streaming through Aunt Jasmine's living room window. Her purple dress hung over a chair, wrinkled but clean. The sign lay on the coffee table, its glitter catching the morning light. Baby girl? Aunt Jasmine's voice came from the kitchen. You're up early. Sarah sat up on the couch, her makeshift bed for the past 3 months. The clock on the wall read 5:47 a.m. Almost 24 hours since she'd first arrived at the airport. Any news? Sarah's voice was rough from crying. Aunt Jasmine appeared in the doorway, already in her diner uniform. Nothing yet, baby. But look, she held up her phone, showing a weather radar map. The storms in Haiti are moving out. Airport might open today. Sarah's own phone charged on the floor beside the couch. 100% battery, but no new messages. The last one from Mom was still 4 days old. See you soon, baby girl. One more week. I made breakfast, Aunt Jasmine said. Real breakfast, not airport food. The smell of eggs and bacon filled the small apartment. Sarah's stomach growled, reminding her she'd barely eaten yesterday despite all the food people had offered. Can we? Sarah hesitated. Can we go back to the airport? Aunt Jasmine sat on the couch's arm. Baby, we talked about this last night. The information desk has our number. They'll call as soon as they know anything. But what if Mom comes and I'm not there? Sarah pulled her knees to her chest. What if she thinks I gave up? Your mama knows you'd never give up. Aunt Jasmine smoothed Sarah's messy braids. She knows you better than anyone. Sarah touched the loose beads that Martha had fixed. I miss her so much it hurts. I know, baby. I miss her too. Aunt Jasmine stood. Come eat something. Then we'll call the airport again. Sarah followed her aunt to the tiny kitchen. 2 plates sat on the counter. Scrambled eggs, bacon, toast. Normal breakfast. Like it was a normal day. But nothing felt normal anymore. The kitchen radio played softly. Morning news, traffic reports, weather updates. Sarah picked at her eggs, listening for any mention of Haiti. Tropical storm system moving northeast away from the Caribbean. The newscaster's voice crackled. Port-au-Prince International Airport remains closed. Aunt Jasmine reached to change the station, but Sarah stopped her. Leave it, please. Eating and worrying don't mix well, Aunt Jasmine said, but left the radio on. Sarah's phone buzzed. Both of them jumped, but it was just Jenny from the coffee shop. Thinking of you, honey. Let me know when your mom gets in. People are so kind, Aunt Jasmine murmured. That Martha woman's staying with you all evening. Jenny with her free drinks. Even that grumpy security guard kept checking on you. Officer Davis wasn't grumpy, Sarah defended. He was just doing his job. A key rattled in the apartment door. Sarah's heart leaped, but it was just Mrs. Rodriguez from next door, picking up her spare key she'd lent Aunt Jasmine. Sarah, Mrs. Rodriguez hurried over. Mi amor, I heard what happened. No word from your mama yet. Sarah shook her head. I'll light a candle at church, Mrs. Rodriguez promised. Santa Clara will watch over her. The radio crackled again. Update on Caribbean travel disruptions. Airports in Everyone fell silent listening, but the reporter moved on to other news. I should get to work, Aunt Jasmine said quietly. Mrs. Rodriguez, could you? Of course. Sarah can stay with me today. Mrs. Rodriguez patted Sarah's hand. We'll make empanadas, yes? Keep busy. I want to go to the airport, Sarah said again, stronger this time. Baby. Aunt Jasmine started. Please. Sarah stood up straighter. I'll be good. I won't make trouble. I need to be there. Aunt Jasmine and Mrs. Rodriguez exchanged looks. I could drive her, Mrs. Rodriguez offered. My Fernando works at Terminal 6. He'll keep an eye on her. Sarah, Aunt Jasmine's voice was gentle but firm. We can't do yesterday again. You can't sit there for 18 hours. I won't. Sarah picked up her phone. But maybe just a morning? Just a check. The radio hummed in the background. Somewhere in Haiti, was Mom listening to similar updates? Waiting for similar news? Aunt Jasmine looked at the clock. 6:15 a.m. now. Her shift started at 7. 3 hours, she said finally. Mrs. Rodriguez can drive you there and stay until 10. Then you come home. Deal? Deal? Sarah ran to hug her aunt. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Change your dress first. Aunt Jasmine called as Sarah darted to her suitcase under the couch. And eat more breakfast? Sarah pulled out fresh clothes, jeans, her favorite t-shirt with stars on it, clean socks. Simple clothes. Waiting clothes. The radio buzzed one more time. Breaking news from Haiti. Everyone froze. Airport authorities announce limited reopening of Port-au-Prince International Airport for emergency and humanitarian flights. Sarah's hands shook as she dropped her clean clothes. Aunt Jasmine? I heard, baby. Aunt Jasmine was already dialing the airport. I heard. Mrs. Rodriguez crossed herself, murmuring a prayer. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Sarah could hear her own heart beating. JFK International Airport, information desk, a tired voice answered. Yes, hello? Aunt Jasmine spoke quickly. I'm calling about flight DL-479 from Port-au-Prince. My sister was supposed to be on it yesterday. Typing sounds came through the phone. DL-479? Yes, that flight was canceled due to weather conditions. But more typing. They're scheduling a special humanitarian flight this morning. Medical personnel priority. My sister's a nurse, Sarah burst out. She's been training other nurses. Please, is she? Sarah, Aunt Jasmine warned gently. To the phone, she said, Angela Williams, she was part of the medical training program. More typing. An eternity of typing. Ms. Williams is on the manifest for the emergency flight, the voice said finally. Estimated departure from Port-au-Prince at 9 a.m. Arrival JFK around 1 p.m. Weather permitting, Sarah's legs gave out. She sat hard on the couch, tears starting again. But different tears this time. Relief tears. Hope tears. Thank you, Aunt Jasmine was saying. Yes, Terminal 4 again? Same gate? We'll be there. Mrs. Rodriguez was already getting her car keys. I call Fernando. Tell him to watch for the flight. Baby girl? Aunt Jasmine knelt in front of Sarah. You heard that? Sarah nodded, unable to speak. Your mama's coming home. For real this time. Today. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Today. Aunt Jasmine smiled through her own tears. Weather permitting. Sarah looked at her wrinkled purple dress, at the sign on the coffee table. Can I? Yes, you can wear the dress again. Yes, you can bring the sign. Yes, we'll go to the airport. Aunt Jasmine hugged her tight. But first, you finish your breakfast. Deal. Deal. Sarah wiped her eyes. Aunt Jasmine? Thank you. For everything. The radio played on. Morning sun streamed through the window, and somewhere over the Caribbean, storms were finally clearing. Just like the pilot had said, storms don't last forever. Terminal 4 looked different in the morning light. Sarah sat in a new chair. Her old spot was taken by a businessman with a laptop, but she could see her waiting place from yesterday. 18 hours in that chair. Now everything had changed. Flight DL-479 special service from Port-au-Prince. Now arriving at Gate B7. The announcement echoed through the terminal. Flight DL-479, Gate B7. Sarah jumped up, gripping her sign. The glitter had mostly fallen off, but Aunt Jasmine had helped her add fresh decorations this morning. New stickers, more glitter, a paper heart. Easy, baby girl, Aunt Jasmine steadied her. They still have to go through immigration. Mrs. Rodriguez squeezed Sarah's shoulder. Fernando says their plane just landed. 10 minutes ago. The terminal buzzed with morning energy. Jenny waved from the coffee shop, now serving the breakfast rush. Officer Davis, back on duty, gave Sarah a thumbs up as he passed. Look who's back! A familiar voice called. Martha hurried over, still in her pink tracksuit. I had a feeling I'd find you here. Martha! Sarah hugged her. Mom's plane landed. I know, baby. The whole airport's talking about it. Martha smiled. The little girl who waited 18 hours? You're famous now. The cleaning crew worked around them. Not Miguel today, but other workers who nodded in recognition. The information desk lady kept glancing their way, smiling. At least we're not the only ones waiting this time, Aunt Jasmine said. She was right. A small crowd had gathered near Gate B7. Airport staff who'd watched Sarah yesterday. The pilot who'd told her about the storm's regular travelers who'd heard the story. Even Officer Thompson from the night shift had stayed past the end of his shift. Sarah's phone buzzed. A new message, finally from Mom, just landed, baby girl. Can't wait to see you. She's here, Sarah whispered. She's really here. The immigration doors swung open. A group of tired travelers emerged, some in medical scrubs, others in casual clothes. Sarah stood on her tiptoes, holding her sign high. Not yet. Another group came through. More medical personnel, rolling small suitcases. Not yet. There. Mrs. Rodriguez pointed. White uniform. Sarah's heart stopped. Mom stood in the doorway, still in her nurse's uniform, now wrinkled from travel. Her hair was messy, her eyes tired, but she was scanning the crowd, searching. Sarah tried to call out, but no sound came. Her sign shook in her hands. Then Mom's eyes found her. The uniform blazed white as Mom ran. Sarah's sign dropped, forgotten. The crowd parted like water. They crashed together so hard it hurt. Mom's arms wrapped around Sarah, lifting her off her feet. Sarah buried her face in Mom's neck, breathing in the familiar scent of shea buttercream. Baby girl, Mom's voice broke. My baby girl. Sarah couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, could only hold on tighter. I'm so sorry, Mom was saying, over and over. The storms, the delays. I tried to call. I waited. Sarah managed. Yesterday. I waited right there. She pointed to her chair from yesterday. I know, baby. They told me. 18 hours? Mom pulled back just enough to look at Sarah's face, wiping tears with her thumbs. My brave, stubborn girl. Aunt Jasmine stepped forward, picking up Sarah's fallen sign. Welcome home, sis. Mom reached one arm out, pulling her sister into the hug. Thank you for taking care of her. For everything. She takes care of herself pretty well, Aunt Jasmine said, her own eyes wet. Got your strength, that's for sure. The crowd around them had grown. Jenny came out from the coffee shop with hot chocolates. Officer Davis pretended to check something on his radio, wiping his eyes. Martha beamed like a proud grandmother. Your daughter is something special, Martha told Mom. Sat right there all day yesterday. Never lost faith once. That's my girl. Mom hugged Sarah closer. Strong like her mama? Stronger, Sarah whispered in a mom's shirt. I didn't give up. Never thought you would, baby. Mom kissed her head. I'm so proud of you. So proud. Mrs. Rodriguez was crying openly now, calling Fernando on her phone. CSI, they're together. Like a miracle. Miss Williams? Officer Davis approached. Welcome home. Your daughter. She's quite something. Officer Davis kept checking on me, Sarah told Mom. And Jenny brought me food. And Martha fixed my braids. And Miguel gave me his sandwich. Mom looked around at the gathered crowd. Airport workers, security guards, fellow travelers, all smiling through tears. Thank you, she said simply. All of you, for watching over my baby. We should get your bags, Aunt Jasmine said, but no one moved. Sarah couldn't let go. Wouldn't let go. 3 months of missing her mom, 18 hours of waiting yesterday, all crashed into this one moment. I missed you so much, Sarah whispered. Missed you more, baby girl. Mom's voice was thick. Every single day. Did you help lots of people? In Haiti? So many. And guess what? Mom pulled back slightly, smiling. They offer me a permanent position here. Training nurse supervisor. No more night shifts. Sarah's eyes widened. Really? Really? Aunt? Mom glanced at Aunt Jasmine. I found us an apartment. 2 bedrooms, close to your school. No more sleeping on the couch. My own room? Sarah could hardly believe it. Your own room. We can paint it purple. Match your dress. Sarah looked down at her dress. Wrinkled, glitter-stained, perfect. Speaking of that dress, Mom touched the fabric gently. You've grown into it, just like I said you would. I saved it, Sarah said, for when you came home. And here I am. Mom hugged her close again, right where I belong. The morning sun streamed through Terminal 4's high windows. The breakfast crowd rushed past. Planes took off and landed outside. Normal airport things. But nothing felt normal anymore. Everything felt better. Ready to go home? Mom asked softly. Sarah nodded against her shoulder. You won't go away again? Never again, baby girl. Promise. I believe you. Sarah smiled through her tears. You never break your promises. Sometimes they just take a little longer to keep, Mom said. Sarah looked around one last time, at her waiting spot from yesterday, at the kind faces of everyone who'd helped her, at the terminal that had held her hope for 18 hours. Thank you, she whispered to the airport itself. Then she took her mom's hand, held it tight, and walked toward home. Together. Finally together. The airport baggage claim moved slowly, black suitcases circling endlessly on the silver carousel. Sarah held Mom's hand tight, as if she might disappear again if she let go. That one, Mom pointed with her free hand. The blue one with the white ribbon. Aunt Jasmine stepped forward to lift the suitcase off the belt. Still using the same old bag, sis? Had other things to spend money on? Mom squeezed Sarah's hand. Like a certain purple dress. The suitcase looked smaller than Sarah remembered from 3 months ago. How could all of Mom's life in Haiti fit in there? All her stories, all her work, all the time they'd spent apart? And that one, Mom pointed again. The medical bag. A white duffel bag with a red cross emerged. Sarah watched it come closer on the carousel, remembering how that bag had looked leaving, new, clean, important. Now it was scuffed, the white dulled to gray, the red cross faded. Ms. Williams. A voice called across baggage claim. Jenny from the coffee shop jogged over, still in her uniform. I'm off shift. Thought you might need these. She held out a cardboard drink carrier with 4 cups of hot chocolate. You must be Jenny, Mom smiled. Sarah told me about your kindness yesterday. Least I could do. Jenny handed Sarah her cup first. This one's got extra marshmallows. You earned them. The hot chocolate warmed Sarah's hands through the paper cup. Yesterday's untouched drinks felt like a lifetime ago. There's one more bag, Mom said. A small red one. They waited, but no red bag appeared. The carousel turned emptier and emptier. I'll check with lost baggage, Aunt Jasmine offered. No need. Mom shook her head. Just closing that one. Nothing important. Sarah looked up at her mom's tired face. But your things. Things can be replaced, baby girl. Mom hugged her close. You can't. Officer Davis appeared near the baggage office, radio clicking on his belt. Need any help with those bags, Ms. Williams? We've got it, but thank you. Mom shifted her medical bag. Thank you for watching over my daughter yesterday. She watched over herself. Mostly, Officer Davis smiled. Got her mama's spirit, that one. Sarah's sign stuck out of Aunt Jasmine's big purse, glitter still falling like tiny stars. Martha's cookies crinkled in Sarah's dress pocket. Yesterday's worry felt distant now, replaced by a different kind of ache. The good kind, like muscles tired from running or cheeks sore from smiling. The taxi's waiting. Mrs. Rodriguez called from the terminal doors. Fernando got us a good one. Very clean. They walked toward the exit, wheels clicking on tile floors. Sarah kept glancing back, watching the space between her and Mom, making sure it didn't grow. Baby girl, Mom said softly. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Cross my heart. Mom stopped walking, turned to face Sarah fully. I learned something in Haiti. You know what? Sarah shook her head. I learned that some people never get to go home again. Storms, earthquakes, poverty, they lose everything. But you know what keeps them going? What? Hope. Faith. Like you had yesterday. Mom touched Sarah's cheek. 18 hours, baby. You believed in me that whole time. You always come back, Sarah said simply. You promised. The terminal doors whooshed open. Outside, New York morning traffic honked and rumbled. The taxi waited, yellow and bright in the summer sun. Wait, Sarah said suddenly. Can we take a picture? Right now? Aunt Jasmine asked. In baggage claim? You said we would, Sarah reminded Mom. Me in my purple dress. You in your white uniform. Our new beginning. Mom's eyes filled with tears again. So I did. Mrs. Rodriguez already had her phone out. Here. Stand by the window. The light is good. They posed together. Sarah in her wrinkled purple dress, Mom in her traveled white uniform, both smiling through tired eyes and happy tears. Perfect, Mrs. Rodriguez declared, showing them the photo. Like angels. The taxi driver helped load the bags. Sarah slid into the middle seat, Mom on one side, Aunt Jasmine on the other. Mrs. Rodriguez would follow in her car. Where to? The driver asked. Mom gave an address Sarah didn't recognize. Our new place, she explained. Want to see it? Now. Sarah looked at Aunt Jasmine's apartment key in her hand. But my things are already there, Aunt Jasmine grinned. Mrs. Rodriguez and I moved them this morning. While you were getting ready, Sarah's eyes widened. Really? Really? Mom buckled her seatbelt. Your room's waiting. It's small, but it's mine, Sarah finished. Our home, Mom echoed. The taxi pulled away from Terminal 4. Sarah watched it shrink in the back window. The automatic doors, the baggage claim, the chairs where she'd waited 18 hours. Thank you, she whispered to the building. For what, baby girl? Mom asked. For keeping my promise. For helping me wait. For bringing you back. Mom pulled her close, kissing her head. Thank you for believing I'd come. Always, Sarah said firmly. The taxi turned onto the highway. Aunt Jasmine hummed softly. Mom's medical bag sat between their feet, her scuffed blue suitcase in the trunk. Signs flashed past. Welcome to Brooklyn. Sarah touched the beads in her braids. The ones Martha had fixed, the ones Mom had done 3 months ago. Some things stayed the same, even when everything changed. Mom, can you do my braids again tomorrow? Of course, baby. Mom smiled. We've got all the time in the world now. The taxi drove on. Behind them, planes took off and landed at JFK, carrying people away from home, bringing people back. Sarah thought about all of them. The ones leaving, the ones arriving, the ones waiting. 18 hours in an airport chair. 3 months on Aunt Jasmine's couch. One purple dress, outgrown and wrinkled. A sign covered in falling glitter. A promise kept, even if it took a little longer than planned. Some people measured time in minutes and hours. Sarah would always measure it in faith, in hope, in love, in the space between goodbye and hello, in the moment when waiting finally ended and home began again. The taxi turned onto a quieter street. Brick buildings rose on either side, trees offering patches of shade. Mom pointed out the window. There, she said. 3rd floor, corner apartment. See the window boxes? Sarah pressed her nose to the glass. Yellow flowers bloomed in green boxes. Sunlight caught the window panes. A blue door opened onto a small stoop. Home. Not just a promise anymore. Not just a hope or a dream or a prayer. Real. Solid. Here. The taxi stopped. Mom paid the driver. Aunt Jasmine grabbed the bags. Sarah stood on the sidewalk, looking up at their windows, their flowers, their future. Ready? Mom held out her hand. Sarah took it, feeling the familiar softness of her mom's palm, the strength in her fingers, the love in her grip. Ready, she said. Together, they climbed the steps toward their blue door, toward their new beginning, toward the rest of their story. No more waiting. Just home. Just love. Just them. Together at last.